I'm going to share with you the story of Christmas. Of course, this is a story that you already know. You've seen it depicted in art so many times, in nativity scenes and Christmas cards. So what I'm going to do is kind of do a dive into this Christmas story and hopefully tell you some things that you don't already know. We're going to start with the day that Mary found out that she was going to be the mother of Jesus. So we're going to go to Mary's town, which was Nazareth. We're going to go in, and here is the angel Gabriel, and he's talking to her. First thing I want you to notice is that in this icon, the angel is genuflecting. This is not by accident. This is how people greet royalty. And notice what he says. He says, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you." Now, in the actual Bible story in Luke, the dialogue's a lot shorter than this, but I wanted to get the full expression of what was going on here. So I've got Mary going, "Are you an angel?" And Gabriel says, "Yes, I am. I am an ambassador from the angelic realm." "Then why did you say hail? You greet me like I'm royalty, but I'm just a regular person." "That's why I called you full of grace. See, by God's grace, he selected you to be the queen of the universe." "Wait, what? I thought you just didn't know my name, and that's why you called me that. I'm Mary, by the way." "Yes, nice to meet you. I'm Gabriel. I called you full of grace because that is a royal title given you by God." "Wow. But still, don't you think you should use my name? Like, say, Hail Mary, full of grace? It sounds better that way." "Maybe if it was just a description, sure, but it's a royal title." Okay, I'm going to pause the conversation here. The point I wanted to get across is, look, the way Gabriel greets Mary, he says, "Hail, full of grace." What it actually says in the Gospel of Luke is that Mary was bothered by his greeting. It's because he greets her like royalty. You don't say hail to normal people. You say it to royalty. And then he gives her a royal title, full of grace. This is who Mary is because of God. The thing you need to know is grace is a gift from God. So even Mary's royal title that's bestowed upon her is bestowed on her by God. Anyway, back to the story. So Gabriel says, "You're going to have a baby. You will have a son and name him Jesus, and he will be the Messiah." And Mary's thinking, inconceivable. Then Mary says, "Oh, this is kind of awkward. See, I can't actually have a baby because I'm a virgin. And when I say virgin, I actually mean like perpetual committed virgin, like I made a vow." I'd explain the nuance, but it's all Greek to me. "And even though I'm engaged to be married, and normally there's certain expectations of brides, Joseph is cool with it, so how can this be?" So what Mary actually said is, "How can this be because I am a virgin?" And most people see that and they think she's talking about she hasn't had sex in the past. But what she's actually saying is, I am a virgin, like a committed perpetual virgin. That's what it means in its Greek. That's how a Greek would understand it if they read it. She's committed to it. Otherwise, it's not such a strange thing. She's engaged to Joseph, so how is it so strange to her that she's going to have a baby? What she's wondering is, how can I maintain this vow I made to God, and yet I'm going to have a son? And the angel says, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you, so your son will be the Son of God." "Oh, cool. In that case, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Be it done unto me according to your word." Sweet. Okay, so now we need to go to Rome. Back then, the Roman Empire was in charge of pretty much everything. The Roman Empire was in charge, and the man who was in charge of that was the emperor, and at that time it was Caesar Augustus.
Mamma mia, I just had such a good idea. Let's make a census and make everybody in the world go back to their ancestral towns to be counted and taxed. Then everyone will know that Caesar Augustus is the most powerful man that ever lived. This is even better than when I had the idea to name a whole month after myself.
So you got to think about this. Like, I should actually get a Roman character in there saying, strange flex, but okay. Like, he's flexing his muscles. He's saying, look, I want to count everybody. I want to know how powerful I am. How many people actually live in my empire? And yes, I'm going to dramatically inconvenience everyone by making them go to their ancestral towns. I want to know where everybody's from. This would be a huge operation, and it's a way of him kind of showing his power. It seems like Luke is on purpose contrasting. Luke's the guy that wrote about this, and it seems like he's contrasting. Here's the most powerful man in the world, and here's when the Messiah comes in. And even the Messiah being born in Bethlehem, which was prophesied, is a result of the most powerful man in the world flexing his powerful muscles, which maybe shows you that God is bigger even than Caesar. So now we're going to go back to Nazareth where we see Mary and Joseph again. And you should know that for my art, I'm just using clip art for the internet. So I'm going to keep having different images of Mary and Joseph and other characters depending on the circumstance. So now they have to have a conversation, right? They both have announcements to make. So Joseph says, I have news. Me too. You go first.
Emperor Augustus is taking a census, so we have to go to Bethlehem. What's your news?
Even though I'm engaged to you and we've never, I'm pregnant. But don't worry, the baby's God's.
Oh.
So you probably know that Joseph was not comfortable with this. The story goes, Joseph knew that Mary was a committed perpetual virgin. He knew this about her. The oldest stories tell us that he was chosen as a man who was going to treat her with honor and respect this vow. So he agrees he's going to marry her. He's engaged to marry her. Then she shows up pregnant. Then she says it's God's baby. Imagine what Joseph is thinking at this moment. He's like, okay, I'm engaged to a crazy woman. This looks bad on us both. And so the Bible says that he was going to quietly leave her, right? He's not trying to cause a scandal. He doesn't want her to get stoned for being pregnant or anything like that. He's going to quietly leave her, but an angel tells him not to. And so he takes Mary and they go off to Bethlehem. And the donkey says,
just so you know, I'm not technically in the Bible.
Well, of course not. There can't be a talking donkey in the Bible. Okay, so we need to meet some other characters. These are the ones who come from the east. The Bible calls them wise men or magi, which is an important title for them. For some reason, tradition has called them kings. This probably references an Old Testament passage that talks about kings coming to honor the Messiah. But Matthew, where this story is told, does not call them kings. However, we have all these traditions about them, and we have this popular song.
We three kings of Orient are bearing gifts we
Hold it.
traversed.
What's wrong?
What do you mean of Orient? Do I look Oriental to you?
Look, no one knows where we come from. The Bible just says the East.
Pretty sure I come from Africa. That's South.
I'm from Europe, West. You know, in the artwork, I tried to pick a white guy, a black guy, and then I'm imagining the guy with the white beard is actually Asian. I know he looks pretty pale. Look, guys, this is just an artist's portrayal of what we look like. We don't even know for sure that there was 3 of us, but traditionally there were 3, and we get drawn as a white guy, an Asian guy, and a black guy to indicate all the non-Jewish races. We probably came from Persia, also known as Iran. I didn't run. I took a camel.
You took a camel from Europe?
Maybe it was a moose with a tumor. So again, we don't even know that there was 3 of them. We think they possibly came from Persia. There's a lot of speculation about that. My favorite theory is that they came from Persia. And if they did, they probably came in a massive caravan because these were wealthy people bringing gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They're going to need a caravan. There would have been servants. There would have been guards. That was not just 3 guys on a lonely backdrop on going over sand dunes like you see in Christmas cards. We don't know that there was 3, but there are very old traditions saying that there were 3. And in fact, the church in Cologne, Germany claims to have the relics of the 3 wise men. So here's their gifts. I'm bringing gold because the baby is a king.
I'm bringing frankincense because the baby is a god.
I'm bringing myrrh. That's what you anoint corpses with. The mom will love my gift. So we know what gold is, right? And gold is an appropriate gift for a king. Jesus is the king. What they're looking for is a newborn king. That's who they're going to find. Matthew makes a big deal out of the fact that Jesus is the Messiah, the descendant of David. See, David was the greatest king that Israel ever had, and God had made him a promise that one day one of his descendants would have the throne for all time. And so they were waiting for the Messiah. Somehow the wise men knew that Jesus was the Messiah who they were waiting for. Frankincense was the thing that you would offer in the Roman Empire. You would offer it to Jupiter. You would go to worship Jupiter in his temple and you'd offer frankincense on the hot coals. So the gift he's bringing indicates that Jesus is God. And then there's the European guy who's bringing myrrh, which if you think about it, that is an extremely awkward gift to bring to a baby shower. You know, everybody's coming in and the first guy's like, congratulations on your baby. Here's gold. Congratulations on your baby. Here's nice incense. Congratulations on your baby. Here's something to anoint him with if he dies. Right? Like it's awkward. Why is he bringing this stuff? Myrrh is the thing that they would use to anoint a dead body with, or even the Egyptians did it with their mummification. But it was a nice smelling perfume, so it might just be an expensive perfume. But a lot of people see in this a prophetic voice amongst these wise men that somehow they knew that Jesus was a king, that he was God, and he was going to die, even though to the ancients being a god and dying were contradictory.
So to sum up, no one knows how many of us there were, and they don't know where we're from. They just know we were kings.
Well, the Bible doesn't say kings, just wise men.
We, indeterminate number of wise men of uncertain origin, are bearing gifts.
Hey, fellers, can I come? I have no gift to bring.
No, one European is enough.
Obviously, there was no little drummer boy in the Bible. Okay, there's a lot of theories about where the wise men are from. My favorite theory is that they were from Persia, and here's the reason why. I like to use the analogy of like Jafar in Aladdin, and he's the royal vizier. Their royal advisors would be referred to as magi. In fact, 400 and some years before that, the magi were like the priestly class. They were the ones who could offer sacrifices, and they were the ones who did certain rituals. This is where we get the word magic in English, because they would see these foreign rituals that supposedly had power or something like that. And the magi would watch the signs in the skies. So like 400 years before Jesus, King Xerxes wanted to know if he was going to defeat the Greeks in a battle, and then there was a solar eclipse, and he asks his magi, yo magi, what's going to happen? We going to win? Magi like, oh yeah, that's a good sign, we're going to win. They were wrong. King Xerxes lost that battle. The magi were people who would watch the signs in the skies, and they were the wise people who advised the kings. Around the time that Jesus was born, there was an alignment of the planets which would look like an extra bright star. So whether you think the star is a miracle or a planetary alignment, which, you know, astronomers can figure out that there really was a planetary alignment, the wise men are going to notice something going on in the skies. And they're going to say, well, what does this mean? What does it indicate? What I like about the idea of them being Persian magi is then they would look at their old scrolls, they'd go through their library and read the wisdom of the people who came before them. Well, guess what? 400 years before that time, there was a magi who was the boss magi in the Persian court. It was Daniel, the prophet. Daniel predicted that the Messiah would come, called him the Son of Man. Some people have even read Daniel and interpreted it as a code which tells you when the Messiah will come. Is it possible that the Magi were Persians who looked at their own Persian Magi sources, discovered the book of Daniel, discovered a prediction about when the Messiah would come, recognized the sign in the sky of that star, said this is a sign indicating that a new king is born, and therefore knew to travel to Jerusalem? Again, it's all speculation. Okay, so now we're going to go to Bethlehem. Mary and Joseph are going to arrive there and discover that there's no room in any of the hotels, any of the inns. They're all overcrowded because Joseph isn't the only one going back to Bethlehem for his hometown. Everybody's doing this, so all the hotels are full. So here's a discussion with the innkeeper. Hey, welcome to Bethlehem. I'm afraid we don't have any room in the inn. Hey, is your wife okay? You mean besides the fact that she's in labor and riding a donkey? Yeah. Is she in stable condition? Yes. Perfect. And of course, then we get to the stable scene. We all know that Jesus was born in a stable. We all have these romantic depictions of what this looked like, but you have to think about it. He was born in a barn, and they laid him down in a feeding trough. That's what a manger is, right? I just imagine Joseph being like, okay, honey, I'll hold back the cow. You can go ahead and lay down the baby now, right? Like, remember that. Let's contrast this with Augustus, most powerful man in the world. Jesus, who we know is actually the most powerful being on earth, and yet he's born in a stable. All right, now let's pop over to the shepherds. The shepherds are out in the field somewhere near Bethlehem watching their sheep. Suddenly there's a flash of light and an angel appears to them. And the angel says, "Be not afraid." Okay, sure thing there, flying decapitated baby head. Now look, this is a weird depiction for an angel, I get it. I did it on purpose to just show how weird the depictions of angels actually are. I don't know who started this. I think maybe it was Raphael the artist who would paint an angel as like a flying baby's head. But isn't that a weird depiction for an angel, right? The angel appears, be not afraid. It's like, yeah, actually, if a flying decapitated baby head appeared to me when I was outside at night, that would be the most terrifying thing possible. Often we depict angels as being these feminine, beautiful things. You look at my Christmas tree, we got all these pretty angels that are singing from their songbooks or holding trumpets or playing harps or whatever. These are pretty portrayals. What Scripture would actually portray angels as, it would portray them as warriors. So what I like to imagine is that there is some angelic warrior, right, from another dimension, the angelic realm, as we had Gabriel say before. From another dimension, this massive warrior comes and is flying in the sky and says, be not afraid. And then when it says, the hosts of angels came with him, and we tend to translate that as choirs of angels, and we imagine again all these nice, feminine, peaceful angels. Think about this for a minute. It would be an army of angels. That Greek word that gets translated hosts or sometimes choirs could also be translated armies. So this army of angels fills up the sky. I think it would be some awesome, awesome thing to see. Unto you a king is born. The sheep's like, meh. No, seriously, go see for yourself. So, of course, the shepherds go and they honor Jesus in his stable. Ooh. Ah. Oh. Okay, guys, it's been a long day. Wife had a baby and all. But we want to see the wise men. It's going to be a long night. So the reason I've got her thinking it's going to be a long night is because we don't think the wise men actually got there that night. Some people think it might have taken them up to 2 years to get there. Maybe the star only appeared, when Jesus was born, and then they followed it for 2 years. But they're not going to get to the stable that night. There's a really old tradition that it actually takes 12 days after Jesus is born for the wise men to come. And so people used to celebrate Christmas for 12 days. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. And that's where that tradition comes from. So like in my family, what we do is we set up the nativity scene and we set it up on the piano. And we leave the manger empty. And then on Christmas morning, we put baby Jesus in the manger. But still, the wise men are not there. The wise men are on a counter in the kitchen, and they don't get to be carried over by the kids until January 6th, the Feast of the Epiphany, the feast of when the wise men are going to arrive. So let's go check out the wise men. What are they up to now that Jesus is born? The wise men are going to go to Jerusalem. So here's the big-headed King Herod sitting on his throne, and the 3 wise men come in and they say, congratulations on your newborn son. Now look, they don't say this in the Bible. This is just me making this part up. But you would assume that if there's a new king of the Jews, he's a descendant of the king of the Jews, right? But Herod says, first I've heard of it. Balthasar's like, awkward. Oh, maybe there's no relation. You see, we're magi from Persia. We study the stars. One of our wise men from 400 years ago predicted that a king of the Jews would be born around this time, so you know. Any idea where he'd be born? Scriptures say Bethlehem, sire. So Herod's going to say, go to Bethlehem, and if you find him, let me know so that I might also honor him to death. Very subtle, sire. So we know that Herod's going to want to kill Jesus if he finds him. Because, see, the prophecy was that a descendant of David would ascend to the throne, would be the Messiah, and be the king for all time. Well, Herod is not a descendant of David, which means, in the eyes of many of the Jews, Herod was an illegitimate king who's being propped up by Rome. If the Messiah is going to come and he's going to fight the Romans and throw them off, is the Messiah going to fight Herod and take his throne from him? Or take his throne from Herod's son? Herod wants none of that, so Herod has this plan to kill baby Jesus, and that's why he wants the wise men to report back to him. Of course, the wise men aren't going to report back to him, and Joseph is going to be warned in a dream, and Joseph will take Jesus to Egypt and get away from King Herod. So King Herod isn't able to accomplish his goal. So the wise men go to Bethlehem, and I've got it portrayed that they go to the stable and find it empty. Of course, that doesn't happen in the Bible. The Bible just says that they went to the house where Mary and Joseph were staying. Okay, but they're going to go to the stable. Darn, we're too late. I told you we should have gone through drive-through. Look, there's a note. Dear wise men, as it has now been 12 days since our baby was born, we have moved on to nicer accommodations. Please forward your gifts to the Bethlehem Hilton. And so they're going to go to the hotel, the Bethlehem Hilton, and introduce themselves. And here's our traditional names. I'm Melchior. I brought you gold.
I'm Balthazar. I brought you frankincense.
I'm Gaspar. I'm a friendly ghost. Look, honey, myrrh. Yay! Well, we should get some rest. God rest ye, merry gentlemen. Let nothing you dismay. You too. Hey, honey, I just had an epiphany. Let's go to Egypt until the nasty king dies. That is the story of Christmas. You probably knew a lot of those things already, but I hope that this will bring you to a deeper understanding of it. I hope that God will bless you and reveal himself to you more and more through Scripture, and especially through this Christmas season. God bless you.